Joining us right now via Zoom chat is the host of The Simple Truth on the Station of the Cross, Jim Havens. He's also the director of the National Men's March to End Abortion, co-founder there. God bless you. Good morning to you, Mr. Jim Havens.
Good morning, Joe. Good to be with you.
Praise be to God. We're glad that you're on with us today. Let's talk about, get your take on the potential of doing away with Roe v. Wade. Big bombshell news this week. What was your opinion of that?
Sure. Yeah, I always take a step back and look at what I think is the true narrative, the true story, which begins with the fact that we have an ongoing daily mass murder of the preborn by the thousands every single day in the U.S., by the hundreds of thousands worldwide every single day. And that's the mass exploitation of pregnant moms in need by these lies of abortion. And so we've got to see everything through that context, break through our desensitization on this because it's been so normalized. And the fact is that I really believe that the Supreme Court ought to go further if they were being truly objective. They ought to recognize the scientific truth of the humanity of the life in the womb from conception, fertilization, and say they are protected under the Constitution, under the 14th Amendment. The Declaration talks about them. We are given a right to life, and human life begins from conception, fertilization. So that would be what I would call for. But the overturning of Roe versus Wade obviously is a good step in the right direction. I hope we get there. I hope this ruling comes through. I would call upon Chief Justice Roberts to release this ruling now or as soon as possible, polish it up, get it out there. This was leaked specifically to try to sway the justices. So the justices ought to, if they care about the legitimacy of the court, come back strong and release the ruling now or as soon as possible. But we need to see this thing come down right now. It's just talk and it's just an opinion that is floating around out there. We need to see the ruling, and that needs to come down as soon as possible.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't surprised, but it was interesting to see that in this leaked draft version of Justice Alito's comments, there was no real conversation about the science of when life begins or any of that. In fact, they avoided those arguments altogether. It just came down to states' rights and who should be deciding this and who shouldn't. I found that very fascinating. But I guess this means if Roe v. Wade is overturned, rolled back, and it does get pushed back to the states, I mean, in some ways, I feel like, oh, great, I live in a state where this immediately becomes a ban on abortion. I think you do too, if I'm not mistaken. Florida is not in that category.
No, Florida is not in that category. And that's why with this Men's March personhood rally that we are having, the National Men's March, it's targeting in Florida, in Tallahassee, the Florida capital, specifically because Governor DeSantis, while he's such a strong leader in so many ways, he has been soft on life. He's got a supermajority of Republicans who have been elected by pro-life voters in Florida, and yet they chose to do the 15-week Mississippi-style ban rather than the 6-week Texas-style ban, and there's just no excuse for it. So we need to hold Governor DeSantis accountable. We're hoping that he will actually come around and join us on June 11th in Tallahassee for this personhood rally, but that's yet to be seen.
Yeah, so it comes down to a fight in 50 states. So now we have 50 fights instead of just one.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to go state by state. And ultimately, we do want to get to the point where we can see personhood for the preborn from conception and fertilization recognized federally because it is in the Constitution. It ought to be clear. Again, it's there in the Declaration. It's there in the Constitution in the 14th Amendment for sure that there is a right to life for every human being, every American, and that life begins from conception and fertilization. So this can be done federally in various ways. But right now, yes, it's going to be a fight state by state. And we need to push the pro-life movement. We need to push those who have been elected by pro-life voters, specifically in the Republican Party, to not back off on this now and start making excuses and not want to talk about this. Now is the time to talk about this, to have this conversation, as there are opportunities for it all around, and point to the science. It's a very simple conversation to have. It's life from conception, fertilization. It's a scientific fact. Do you believe in murdering innocent human beings, innocent human persons? That's what we're talking about. If you believe in that, well, then I think you need to come to grips with that belief. That's a horrific belief. And if you don't believe in that, then you cannot be for abortion in any form, any direct intentional killing of human life in the womb. It has to be outlawed.
Mr. Havens, I would like to get your take on this thing that I've been observing in the last couple of days. Is that it seems like we are like reading our own press releases and starting to believe them, in the sense that people are getting complacent and being like, okay, we won, so we're done. And this idea that it kind of pushes people into a malaise where they are saying, oh, well, we just wanted it to be a states' right issue. We don't want to actually ban it at the federal level, and all these different kind of ideas. And I'm afraid that the movement of gradualism that have been taking, which I think is a perfectly tenable position to have, gradualism. I think, though, that there is a major danger of people thinking that we won every time we win a battle, and thinking that we won the war. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Within the pro-life movement, sadly, and within the Republican Party, sadly, there has been an overly cautious, cowardly incrementalism that needs to end. We are calling on all leaders to lead on life. Do not back down. Do not make this some secondary issue. This is the ongoing daily mass murder of the preborn, exploitation of pregnant moms in need. We ought to be supporting those pregnant moms, not lying to them and telling them that somehow abortion is good for them and lying about humanity in the womb. We've got to have them lead on life for us. And all of us are called, whichever way we can lead and influence, we need to lead on life as well. And that means personhood now. That's what we're calling for. Why wait on this? Why gradually do anything? Look, we can make incremental steps, but that can only be within a very loud call that these are human persons and that they deserve the right to life. They have the divinely given right to life inherently, but that needs to be recognized in our law. We believe it certainly is recognized in the Constitution, and all of our laws ought to say so. So lead on life, personhood now. Those are going to be the messages at the Men's March coming up June 11th in Tallahassee, marching 3 miles to the state capitol. It's a men's march, but we're inviting everyone to join us for that rally. Women, children, families. I know a lot of men who are bringing their families for that rally. So it's a 12 p.m. march beginning at a local abortion center in Tallahassee, marching to the Florida State Capitol, where the rally will begin at 2 p.m. We've got our speakers. They're going to be announced soon. We've got some good hitters on that you're going to want to pay attention to. But you can get all the updates, learn all the information by going to themensmarch.com, themensmarch.com. And I truly hope that everybody listening will do everything in their power to join us on that day. We need to come together now and make some big noise that we need to lead on life. We want personhood now, and people are paying attention. It's time to stand up now.
We have just a couple more minutes in this first segment with Jim Havens from the National Men's March to End Abortion. We'll have more on the other side of the break as well. But I wanted to bring up education. Our good friend Forrest in the chat this morning was bringing up education would be the way to end abortion, true and authentic education. But we're looking at a fight for the soul of education in this country. Even right there in Florida, it's been a big issue lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, education is key, no doubt about it. And that's an area that Governor DeSantis has been strong on. But again, we need our leaders to understand that they need to be educated, and they need to be proponents for the education of everybody to understand. This is not complicated. This is very, very simple. The science on life beginning from conception, fertilization is crystal clear. Consult any embryology textbook and you're going to find it there. So why isn't this being proclaimed? Why aren't they being protected? Why aren't all of our leaders, especially those who claim to be pro-life, doing everything they can to protect this innocent human life? We need to educate ourselves. We need to educate those around us. Absolutely. And we're calling on our leaders like Governor DeSantis, who has a supermajority of Republicans in Florida, to lead on this education.
I had the great honor of speaking at your rally last year in Baltimore, and I've given my testimony on abortion many, many times. But why do you believe men should be leading this fight?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for joining us at the last Men's March in Baltimore. And if anybody wants to see footage of what you had to say there, your testimony is so powerful. Again, you can go to themensmarch.com, click on the event that we had November 15th, 2021. You're going to see video there. They'll also be able to link to your YouTube channel. There's a link there where we see the video of you giving firsthand testimony of what it was like kind of behind the scenes, going to the Men's March and all of that, which was a great video you put together. So again, thank you for that, Joe, and for all of your support on this. I think this is vital that men are involved, specifically because Satan doesn't want us to be. That's the big lie that comes from the pit of hell, is that men have nothing to do with this. Sit down, be quiet. This is a woman's issue, even though now I guess we're not even supposed to be saying women, right? Nobody knows what a woman is. There's just birthing people, all of that. But now that's coming back again. The devil is irrational in this way, actually very consistent in his sort of upside down sort of rationality, which ends up being quite irrational. And we see that on full manifestation right now. But the fact is that men, it's the exact opposite. We need to stand up on this. There is a man connected with every abortion, and men have a major responsibility here when it comes to protecting the innocent and vulnerable, which means the mass murder of these children every day by the thousands. We've got to stand up for them. That's happening today. That happened yesterday, every single day for the past 50 years, just about here. So this cannot stand. This is in our backyards, on our watch. We are desensitized to it. We have to repent, begin again, and make a new resolve, new commitment that we are going to do more. And our pregnant moms in need, these are vulnerable women who are being lied to. We've got to lead the charge on stepping up for them and doing what it takes to be a society that is going to care about them and love them and tell them the truth and support them, even in their time of great distress and great need, especially in that time. So we've got to step up, men. We've got a lot of work to do. And that begins, I believe, with coming together and repenting together and making a new resolve together. You can do that at the Men's March on June 11th, but you can start right now wherever you're at. Begin.
Amen, Mr. Havens. You know, it's really cool when you listen to the ad that we've been playing, you know, men, it's time. It really is time. You know, today there was a lot of stories of pro-abortion people going out and attacking churches, attacking police officers. These people come out in force all the time, and it seems to me that, you know, it's almost just once a year that people get together and they talk about the personhood of these little babies that are being slaughtered every single day. But it's so important for us to go out and go out in force so that we can present to the world that we're for this. And I think it really is time. Can you speak a little bit more about the responsibility that we have as Catholics, as pro-life people, to go out and demonstrate and be a force for people to see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think of a quote that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and that is Archbishop Fulton Sheen, I think maybe Venerable Fulton Sheen at this point. And he's got that quote where he talks about, I was listening to the episode just the other day, where he talks about how those without the truth have all the zeal, and the ones with the truth have very little fire, very little zeal. And we ought to be inflamed with love, authentic love of God, authentic love of our neighbor, out of love of God. It's all there in the scriptures. Read the parable of the Good Samaritan. You can't just walk by on the other side of the road and pretend this isn't happening. We have to face reality. Think about Matthew 25, the least of these, the judgment of nations. How more clear can he be? We're going to be judged on this. What did you do? What did you not do? So we got a lot of repenting to do and a lot of recommitting ourselves, maybe committing ourselves for the first time to actually engaging in this way. I've been also thinking about it recently. I like Westerns and different Western shows and things like that. And every now and then, if I get a chance to watch something on TV, that would be what I've been turning to in these days. And when I do so, I think about, man, you got solid shows out there like Gunsmoke, The Rifleman back in the day. All these men watching this stuff, living vicariously through these characters, Marshall Dillon, while they themselves maybe in many ways just sat on the couch and did not engage the culture, did not even maybe engage their own families as they are called to do. We must not make that same error. We must engage. That begins with a sincere life of prayer. And we've got to be inflamed with love of God, love of neighbor. And we've got to live from that place of love. It ought to compel us on with great zeal to go out, engage our families, engage the world.
Mr. Havens, you know, I was thinking about this idea of a men's march specifically, and how I was looking at your website and seeing the past men's marches that you have organized, and how everybody there is asked to wear a coat and asked to wear a tie. And that is I think, an amazing thing. I've been recently, in the last few years, I became very familiar with the organization America Needs Fatima and the American Defense for Tradition, Family, and Property. And all the men there, they wear suits and they wear ties and they do it all the time. And it really struck me as something that's very countercultural. People, because whenever I'd go out and protest with them, people would be like, "Why are you wearing a suit?" And people just get so angry by it and angered by it. The demons do not like the idea of a man looking like a man dressing like a man. And you mentioned Fulton Sheen earlier, and Fulton Sheen was known to have shaved twice a day because he said, I shaved in the morning, so that way when doing things, I would look professional, and then I'd shave in the late afternoon, just in case something came up, I needed to go out and do something, I would look presentable. And so we have lost this whole idea. Could you speak a little bit about why you have a dress code, and are other people, are women allowed to attend the march, things like that?
Sure. Yeah. The march is for men. It's a men's march, but then the rally is the rally for personhood that all women, children, families are invited to. So again, many men are leading their families there. So that's the vision, is that men show up at this local abortion center. We pray together. We hear some testimony. We recommit ourselves. We repent and recommit ourselves. And then we go on this march. And then this time we're literally leading a rally and inviting everybody to come and join us there, this 2 p.m. rally at the state capitol in Tallahassee. Again, more details at themensmarch.com. So we invite you to please join us there. But yes, the men in suits, that is key, because we want to show this sense of professionalism, this sense of seriousness, this sense of unity, and this sense of class, this sense of dignity, that look, we're not just going about this in some casual way. We are very serious about this, and we just think it's good optics as well to present ourselves at our best. We want to be standing up for the vulnerable in the most professional sort of way. So that's what this is all about. And again, the unity that it shows in that. When you look back at MLK and the marches that he did, that's the way that they did it. It would be very, very hot sometimes. You look at those old pictures, these guys are wearing suits. Sometimes they're wearing tuxedos mixed in with the suits. I mean, it's unbelievable. So yeah, it is a little bit of sacrifice for men that maybe aren't used to that, but let's embrace that sacrifice, enter into it with sacrificial love. And one more thing I want to mention on that as well is that as we unite in this, it is vital that we come together physically, because the Lord shows up in this way. At the previous men's marches that we've had, things happen. There's grace being poured out and through what is going on here. You won't know unless you come. In fact, I just heard a testimony from someone who sent it to me yesterday saying, hey, they were living with an abortion that they were part of 32 years ago, and they received healing by coming to that last men's march. Joe, I'm sure your testimony had a lot to do with it, God working through that. And never before had they experienced healing like they experienced when they came to that last men's march. We're also in touch with the TFP guys, and very grateful for their support. Hopefully they're going to be showing up here at the Men's March in Tallahassee as well. We're hoping we're going to have maybe a bagpiper or two, but this is going to be a professionally done event, even though this is as grassroots as it gets, extremely grassroots. We need all the help we can get in spreading the word, themensmarch.com.
So we just have a couple minutes left with Jim Havens here. So give us a sense of the schedule. What is the flow of the event itself?
So men show up at the abortion center at 12 p.m. We're going to gather there. From there, we're going to march 3 miles. This is the longest march that we've done. It's going to be a little bit hotter in June in Florida as well. But this is a march of sacrificial love, a march of reparation, a march to raise awareness. And then we're going to gather for that rally at 2 p.m. at the Florida Capitol, where we're going to have various speakers speak. And again, we're going to be releasing the names of those speakers soon. We're still waiting on a couple of them, but we've got a good lineup that is coming in for this. And we're expecting that it's probably going to wrap up around 3:30 at this point. And we're hoping Governor DeSantis will join us, and we'll maybe have some surprises as well. But it's going to be a powerful day, but we need maximum participation. Please come to themensmarch.com.
The website is themensmarch.com, and you can find all the details about time, location, and what it's all about. Praise be to God. You can also find some of the content from the last event, and I encourage everyone to check it out and go if you are able to. Bring your sons, right? I mean, what an opportunity to bring sons too.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring your sons, march with your sons, and then meet up with your whole family at the rally. I know many men are doing that. And just so people understand the history of this, the first men's march we did last year around this time, the weekend before Father's Day, which again is the timing of this one, was in D.C. We marched in front of the White House to call Joe Biden on. We see that hasn't worked very well, but we still got to step up and do what we're called to do, regardless of the response. Baltimore to the U.S. bishops. And now this time in Florida, we're calling on all politicians, especially Governor DeSantis, with that supermajority. Lead on life, personhood now.
All right. Jim Havens, host of The Simple Truth. God bless you, my brother. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Everybody, check out themensmarch.com and share that far and wide. We'd be grateful. Jim, have a great day. God bless you.
God bless you, Joe. Thank you.
All right. That's going to do it for hour number 1.